Thanks everybody for sharing. That was perfect. Really brought up my afternoon.
All righty, now we'll get down to business. I'm rushing us there. Sorry about that, everybody. So the purpose of our monthly DRC meeting is we've got several key factors we want to hit here. Staying in touch. This is a quick 1 hour live interaction with our campus customers. We have ongoing dialogue about Page Up, the functions, the tips, current topics. This is also an open forum for DRC's you to hear your ideas, questions, and to learn from each other. So please speak up. We want to real quick get into some housekeeping and updates. This session will be recorded and shared with all of you in the recap email, and we'll also include the slides. I know that we've been asked to send the slides in advance, but often we're working on them right up till the meeting. So that's why we don't send them in advance. So we want you to have the most timely, interactive responses. So be sure and check those recaps because you won't get all the dialogue. The format for this session, just like before, but if you're new, we ask that you send all your chat questions to Adam Cuneo, and we'll break occasionally to answer them. And there's Adam. You can send them directly to him in chat. One quick update we wanted to touch on is background checks. I'm sure many of you have noticed they are taking longer. We wanted to let you know what's going on and what we're looking at as an alternative. As you know, COVID has affected a lot of operations. The county courts are still at reduced hours. And so especially some of the smaller courts, we're having a hard time getting responses. And it's something that is being seen across all universities. It's not just us. It's out of our hands to a lot of extent with the way that we do the backgrounds, but we're looking at alternatives. And one of those alternatives is fingerprinting. And the fingerprinting we're just looking at because it's an option to be more reliable, faster, and the process, we're looking at the feasibility. And of course, we're looking at all different options right now. So we just wanted to let everybody know, we know this is a problem. We wanted to acknowledge it and let you know why the problem is going on. And we are actively looking at solving it quickly. So please be aware those background checks are taking longer, especially if you haven't done a hire recently. It's not going to be like it was in the past. I'll pause there. Okay. And then just a real quick, this is our welcome team. We know we introduce ourselves at each of the meetings, but we're going to skip that this time. Most of us will be talking and not everybody is here today, but you can find us on our welcome page at HRS as well. And we have someone put that into the chat, and be sure to reach out to us. We're all here to help you make the experience better. And we're happy to help. So please reach out to us by email, and we're going to go ahead and go now to our main topic and pass it over to Ashton. I got nervous there, excuse me. We're going to our pro tip with Chris. So I'm going to pass it over to Chris and mute myself for a minute and turn unread.
Thanks, Michelle. As we indicated in the topic, we are talking about all things offer letter and offer card today. So your first hot tip pro tip is that you can upload your interview notes and reference checks prior to creating the offer card. So if you see from the DRC view here, here's your job. There's a tab across the top called Documents, and then you can upload them here and save. The other thing, when you're working, you're going to the point where you're creating your verbal offer and have made that, is this might be another place where do you stop and do communications with candidates not selected. I know Ashton talked about this in the last meeting, but the point was you can bulk move candidates, let's say from search committee review to not selected. And then if you see the communication here, there's a yes or a no radio button. So you can go ahead and send the information or the rejection letter out to the candidates you know you're not going to be considered, and click that as a yes. Or if you save it as no, you can always come back later and then send the email with when you're ready. So maybe you have that top candidate, you make the verbal offer, they decide to not take it, and you go down to your next candidate to be interviewed. If you've already sent them the letter, that doesn't look too good. So you want to make sure you send the communications at the appropriate time. The next one. All right. The next one is onboarding delegates on the offer card. I know when we introduced onboarding, we talked about this in the beginning. This is a place where you could put a separate onboarding delegate. When someone accepts their offer, this is on that offer card. So in our case in HR, Kip Spittle is kind of like the mentor or follows through all the new employees in our area. And I know some other areas on campus do something similar, but just so you know, if you put the supervisor here, they're already automatically getting the task list of their employees. So you probably don't want to put the supervisor as an onboarding delegate or they'll get double messages. All right, any questions on that? I think I have one more tip for you. All right, on this one, this is brought to us by Veta. She had a question this week, and so we want to show you this pro tip. Even if you've already hired someone, you can go back and view the offer letter that was sent. You can go to Jobs within Page Up, View Applications, click on the name of the person that was hired or onboarded. And as you can see in number 6, you can scroll down and see their actual offer letter and total reward statements that get sent out. So there's another tip for you there on offer. Any questions so far?
This is Leslie Black, and
Okay.
I have a question. Is the documents place where you would attach an offer letter if the dean wanted to write his own offer letter and not use the one from HR?
Probably, I was just going to say, when we get to the offer card, it's separate from the requisition. So let's take that back and figure out where we'd want to put that, because normally it would be on notes on the requisition. There's no really notes on the offer card piece.
Okay.
Unless someone else wants to add to that, but that's, I think Ashton will go over that in the next steps. Any other questions?
I've got one.
Okay.
Where can you go to see what has been sent?
Same place. So right here, right on the side that I'm on, you can view the offer sent to the person, and then that section 6. So on the card, as we go through that, you'll see offer documents and you can view them like in this 6.
What if it's not an offer letter? What if you're just wondering about the emails that could be sent out?
Oh, sure. Emails are in history. So I think we don't have a picture of it here, but when you're on a candidate, there's a history tab.
Okay.
So I can pull that up when we get through a little further, Stephanie.
Part of my demo, Chris, I'd be happy to show the
Perfect.
history.
All right. All right. Well, I will hand it over to Ashton for the main topic then.
Okay. Hotly awaited. The offer DRC meeting. Would say by and large, I do get the most questions on offers. Offers are kind of a stumbling block for some, the process. So what I've created, and it is actually quite small on the screen, I apologize for that, but I've taken all of the steps and kind of put them in a linear format so you kind of know what to expect next. I'm going to talk through these pretty high level because we are going to go into a live walkthrough of the offer card to call out some of the main questions that we get there. But starting at the leftmost call out box, and in this kind of offer narrative that we're creating, you've done your search, you've done your interviews, you've checked references, and now you have a top candidate. So you're going to work with your department. You're going to check your pay grade. You're going to get a finalized offer prepared. And in the second call out here, you'll see that the verbal offer is delivered by the department. I get that question almost every day. We have an offer now. Are you going to tell them? No, I don't tell them. It lives in the department because you, as the keepers of your budget, have the latitude to negotiate, you know, what you will accept and what you won't accept. And it does make much more sense having that being delivered from decision makers in that area. The third call out, once we get that verbal acceptance from the applicant or through email, depending on how you like to give that first offer, those details are then given to the department recruitment coordinator. So they don't come to me. You can go straight to your DRC, tell them, here's our top candidate, here are our offer details. The DRC will log in. They will start. In the third call out here, you'll see the launch offer card. It's a status change, and we will actually walk through a live demonstration of that step today. So the first approver, you'll notice when you go to launch an offer that the first approver is already populated, and it's employment HR. That approver is really just kind of a checkpoint. It goes to our employment inbox where our team will check to see if this applicant already has an active background check on file. If so, they'll note that. If they do not, then they will initiate the background check process. Second approver, it comes to your recruiter where the offer letter is drafted. We attach that to the offer card and send it to the remaining approvers. So we're right in the middle here of our call outs. Once that offer is fully approved, it is extended to the applicant. They will then accept or decline the offer. If they respond positively, their recruiter, the welcome team, they'll do a final check to make sure that the background check has come through and the degree verification is complete, and then they get moved to hired. So that's where I also get some questions when I'm sending messages about effective dates, hired, active, and PeopleSoft. Those phrases, moved to hired, it just means that the formal process of taking that person's profile from PageUp and transferring it into PeopleSoft. So when we say they'll be active in PeopleSoft in 24 to 48 hours, all that means is that PeopleSoft and our OIT team are generating their IDs, creating their emails, making sure that everything is ready for that person to start. It doesn't mean that they will physically be starting. All right. So the element of a good offer is to start with thinking about what your verbal offer will be. On our How to Hire page, we do have some higher level, broad guidance type things that aren't specific to any one type of hire. We tried to make it as general as possible so that it could encompass all of our different types of hiring. Excuse me. So the verbal offer information is in our step 5 of this process. It looks just like this on our page. And at the bottom of step 5 are these resources. So we've got the reference check form, conditional verbal offer tips, job aids, and information about relocation. So before you give your verbal offer, you're going to want to work with your internal leadership chain to talk about, internal equity, look at what you can offer, look at the pay grade. I can step in to help with that conversation to tell you what the pay grade is, or you can look on the job card, which also has that information populated. So the last thing that we want to talk about are start dates. When you're planning a start date, we should be looking at being strategic about this. I've been getting quite a few offers that are backdated. Offers where the person's going to start on a Monday and this is a Friday. That experience is not the best experience for someone who's entering into our university. We need, at the very, very least, at about 1 week for background processes to flow through. That includes completing the background check, that includes allowing those transfer processes on the back end so that when they show up, their ID number's ready, their email's ready, they're active, and it gives them the best possible experience for entering our institution. And also we should consider giving our applicants time to give appropriate notice to their jobs and allowing that time. All right. Does anybody have any questions about the verbal offer stage?
Question, we have 2 questions. The first one is there a way to see in PageUp once the background check is complete? And then 2, after the approval on the offer is complete, how long does it take for the candidate to receive the offer letter? Is this automatic?
All right, so we'll start with the first question. Is there a place to tell them a background check is complete? There is. Our HR staff very diligently go in and they create a note in the applicant history, which we kind of talked about earlier. It's a way to see what messages have been sent to the applicant. And it's also a way to check on that background check. So as we do a live walkthrough of the offer card, I'll show you where that lives. Question number 2, after the approval on the offer is complete, how long does it take? It is not an automated process, it is a manual process. So we all have our own queues. We are monitoring them carefully. I'll usually check a couple times a day to see when offers are fully approved. And when I see that the offer is approved, I'll go ahead and extend, because these offer letters are contingent on a clear background check coming through. We will usually wait for the background check to clear before we move them into that process that will transfer their profile into PeopleSoft. All right, I think we're ready. Michelle, we are going to move into the next slide. And now I can't hear you. Thank you. Okay. Launching the offer by role. So who does what? The hiring manager, they will usually deliver the offer to the applicant. They will get that verbal acceptance. Once that has happened, they communicate that information to the DRC. The DRC's role will be to log into PageUp, populate the offer details, and choose the appropriate workflow and continue that process. Employment kicks off the background check. The recruiter drafts the offer letter. So this is the correct status that your applicant should be in. This verbal offer accepted when it is time for the offer card. We'll go ahead and progress. So the big chunk of our topic today is going to be actually walking through the offer card and calling out some of the things that we get the most questions on, but also the things that are, logistically more confusing than others. I'm going to grab this screen here. And we are going to hire my friend, Ashton DRC. All right, so what we are looking at is considered the applicant profile. Stephanie, this is where your question comes into play. Accessing information, accessing history will be under this tab here. So it kind of follows the status of the whole job. It has some items here, you can see I did a little testing. So it says that the status has already been changed. You can filter here by job. So this, I only have one job in this profile, but if they had many jobs, you could filter and select the job that you're looking for. But in here, as with this note, our HR team will add a note when the background check has come through clear. So if you're curious, you could look in the history tab to check for that information. All right. So in our flow narrative, the hiring manager is given the DRC the offer details. The DRC, which is myself right now, has logged in, and we are going to change this status. Page Up loves pop-ups, and Zoom does not like pop-ups, so it might kick me out here. So you'll see once you change that status, there's an email applicant radio button here. We always want to keep it on yes, because this gives the applicant very important information about the background check information that they're going to receive. This has cut down probably 110% on emails from applicants who think that it is spam, that we're trying to get their personal details. So they're expecting it. They know who it's coming from. They know to look for it. It actually has increased our response time as well. So this is a very helpful message here. And then we'll go ahead and move now. Once you hit move now, it will open directly into the offer card. So I've had it a couple times where a DRC will reach out and they said, I think I did it right. Their status has changed. And when I log in, there's no offer in there. So that means they got through the first half, they changed the status, but the second half, actually addressing the offer card, had not happened. So this will have their contact information. This tab here, current or previous employee details. This is only for current employees. People who have active emails through Boise State, you will populate their Boise State emails here. So if I'm hiring myself and I know that I'm already a current employee, I'll put my email in here. What I have seen lately are emails, Gmails, Ymails that get populated in here. It does cause a stutter step with our onboarding and part of their profile creation. So please be mindful. Current or previous employees will have a Boise State email here. You can confirm the job details, can confirm the PCN here. Supervisor is a mandatory field. I do get quite a few questions about job type. I'll get a panicked chat that says it won't let me save. I don't know why it's saying job type. I don't know what that means. So you'll come here and you'll select what type of job it is, or either regular or permanent, and regular or temporary, and full or part-time. Standard hours per week. I do see some numerics going in here. This is a purely number field. So typical full-time would be 40, not 40 hours, or I see a lot 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. It won't error out, but it does some crazy things on the offer card. So if you just want to put how many hours you expect that person to work per week, it's perfect. Another topic that comes up quite often are months per year. So quite a few of you have had direct hires or part-time or temporary PCNs where you only expect that this person will work 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, 9 months. So for professional roles, it will almost always be 12 months. Even if you expect they'll only work 5 months, all it means is that their salary will not be prorated. So 9, 10, and 11 month appointments are typically for faculty contracts where their pay will be spread over 12, where they'll only be working for those 9, 10, 11 months. So that one is a question that comes up quite often.
So, Ashton, if it is a faculty position, then it would be, we could put 9 months and that's okay?
Oh, yes, absolutely. That's actually what it's for. And very, very, very rarely will there be a professional that will be on a prorated shorter term. But we can talk about at the time. It's all, as you well know, it's all shades of gray depending on the person, the job, the area, but for the most part.
Ashton, can I ask a question?
Oh, sure.
This is Leslie. So I thought that Page Up was only for benefit eligible people. So if they're temporary part-time, are they benefit eligible depending on the number of hours they work?
They can be. So a temporary part-time who's working 20 or more hours a week would be eligible for benefits.
And we would need to hire them through Page Up.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Will the employee be working at a location off campus? That is phrased kind of strangely, but this is if they're going to be working from home at all. So if you think they might be, go ahead and say yes. If you know for sure 100% they will be on campus, then go ahead and say no. This question has come up on action type. In HR, we have access to the PeopleSoft database. We have access to historical applicant data. We have a lot more resources to help really nail in what action type should be used. I had a question about add appointment. That's an additional appointment. So that would be, more than one. But typically, original appointment is reserved for someone who has never been employed for Boise State before. Promotion would be for someone who is internal, who might be switching jobs to a higher pay grade. Rehires, if they did work here and then came back, this would be break in service. If they're moving to the same position, but now they're getting benefits, it would be lateral. And I know that it's not very intuitive and can be kind of confusing. So when it comes to me or to any of the recruiters, we actually do a little legwork to look up the person, to check PeopleSoft, check Page Up, to make sure that the action reason is correct, because this does flow into PeopleSoft. Current contract dates, this link will link out to the Office of Budget and Planning's page where you can look at current contract dates for that year. The contract date would be that July to July. This would be for faculty. For professional, you just need a start date. The at-will nature of professional employment right now means they start in what the number you put in this box, and then they can work indefinitely until that termination EAF is submitted. So for professional, we just need that start date. For contracted positions, you'll go ahead and populate all of those.
Hey, Ashton, real quick, there was a question. What about if they're coming from a different state agency?
So a different state agency would be higher outside agency transfer. And we wouldn't know. We'd have to look through their resume on that one. But yes, so if they're coming from ISU, if they're coming from the Department of Lands, then they would be an outside agency transfer. Awesome. Relocation, this is a dollar amount. I get some descriptions in here, questions in here sometimes. Just a dollar amount. Relocation is 10% of the salary that you're offering that person or less. It can be a static dollar amount, but cannot exceed 10%. So you can put a number in here. If you put anything in this box, you also have to populate the funding string that it goes to. I know this isn't a funding string. I'm just typing, for example. Gosh dang it. So these have to go hand in hand. If you're going to offer relocation, we have to have that. This actually goes on a report directly to our relocation specialist, who then reaches out to these people. We get questions on clauses. These are pretty complex. They can cover a lot of territory, but the ones that you would most likely be using is grant. If your position is grant funded, just put that in here. That lets me know that we need to add the grant clause to their offer letter. The other most useful one would probably be temp for temporary. The other ones are for some pretty specific situations. So if you use them, then you should know. And if you don't, you can email me and we can talk about it. These next two sections, classified and tenure track. If you are not creating an offer that deals with either of these, then you don't have to touch one box here. For classified, if you don't have the hiring list, I have it, and I'll populate it at the time it comes to me, as well as if you're not sure about the probation, I will make sure that these are correct before the offer gets moved forward.
What if you're hiring a clinical faculty person, so they're not tenure track?
Then this would not apply.
So it's only for tenure track. Okay.
Yep, because clinical, they wouldn't be obtaining tenure. So only for those specific scenarios are those two boxes.
Okay.
On the salary here, you will want to make sure that you've selected the appropriate salary. So for those 9, 10, 11 months, it would be a prorated salary. For majority of the professional roles, it would be salary, and for classified and other select specific positions, it would be hourly. Got your hourly rate here, your annual salary. I do sometimes get questions on the math of this, and sometimes every time it comes through, I check it to make sure that it's right. But to calculate an hourly or an annual, you'll either multiply or divide by 2080, which are the number of hours in a standard year on a 52-week payroll schedule. So budgeted from: regular is for permanent, irregular is for temporary funded roles. Your funding source will map over from the job card. So if it has changed since you created your job card, you can change it here to update it, and this will be the final word on what the funding is. So we do want to make sure that it's right on this job card.
Hey, Ashton, real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt. Not sure if this got answered, but if classified staff are in NeoGov, how does the applicant information get entered into PageUp to do the offer card?
Well, classified, as you all know, is very different from our other hiring steps. So once the department tells me who they'd like to hire, I actually go into NeoGov. I transfer everything over directly from what they have provided, and I create them a profile in PageUp, and I put it into a viewable status. So then our process can kind of meet and move on as it would normally. So it's a manual process that the recruiters do. All right, you got up to 6 funding sources. So take a look at those. We only have one new starter form, but we have 3 different onboarding workflows. So if your person is already working, they're getting promoted, they're moving laterally, you would use current employees, because it won't ask them to do their I-9 again. It won't ask them to do some of the things that a brand new employee would do. Otherwise, you'll just choose as appropriate. Chris was nice enough to share with us today about an onboarding delegate. So you'll see up here, I am going to be my own supervisor because this is imaginary. If I wanted someone else to do my onboarding, then I would go ahead and put them here. So now Chris will receive the onboarding task list notifications, and she will have access to go in and look at the onboarding and make sure that me as the new employee is taking care of the things that new hires need to take care of. Chris did tell me something else. So I put myself as the supervisor. If I put myself as the onboarding delegate, it will actually double the communication to that person. So just a pro tip.
Hey, Ashton, real quick, sorry to interrupt. Going back up, somebody had commented, wouldn't you use less than 2,080 hours if there are only 9, 10, or 11-month employees?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, actually, because the pay is being spread over the full fiscal year. So they're working less, but they're going to be paid for as if they had been working the whole year. But there are cases where a unique proration would be made, and then we work with the budget office to calculate that. But it's kind of something that we handle more on our side.
Thank you. And then John had asked, what if you have a current employee that is out of the country?
In what way?
Good question.
And
So
John,
I have some,
if you want to unmic.
and we're bringing him into the U.S. So he's a current employee, but he's living in Canada right now.
Okay.
So he hasn't done it yet.
I missed that part. He hasn't what?
He has not done an I-9 yet because he's been living in.
Okay.
So I flagged him as a current employee, but my understanding is now that he comes into the country, he does need to do an I-9.
And this may be, we always find new, especially you, John,
Yeah,
new
right.
one-off kind of special cases where this might be the case because they hadn't been, so maybe I'll catch you after the call and we can talk about that one.
Or maybe, or Madison could maybe answer that too.
Yeah.
Madison doesn't look like she wants to answer that right now.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Yeah. Me and John have had offline conversations about, I think it's the same guy.
Yeah.
So we're working that through. It's a really rare one-off situation.
Of course.
You would. All right. So we're going to get back to our offer card here. Chris Uria is now the onboarding delegate. She'll help me stay on track with my onboarding tasks. This offer progress box has caused more heartache, more tears, recruiter tears. So all this is, we've asked to actually have it removed from the card just so that people aren't tempted to click it, but this is part of what allows a back-end process to happen. So most often this will come and I'll see them having marked yes, written offer accepted. So what that does is it tells the system that this person has accepted essentially a blank offer, and it can create chaos. It can move things into PeopleSoft that we don't want it to. So offer progress, it will update on its own. It will actually capture when the person has physically clicked I accept on the electronic written offer. So it doesn't need to be changed in any way. It can just be offer documents. This is actually where the offer letter will live. So if you scroll down here, when it comes to you for approval, the letter would be here. You could download it. The last and most important piece, and the one that I see people struggling with the most time and time again, is the approval process. So this is where I'll get messages. I sent the offer. Are you seeing it? I think I did it. How do I know? So down here, you will choose your approval process. So let's say it's a standard offer. This is what kicks off the background check. So if you're not sure, you can reach out. But if this isn't routed for approval, not only is your background check not starting, it's also extending the time that it will take for us to get that offer into the applicant's hands. So talent acquisition, supervisor, I am my own supervisor, and I'm my own fund source manager. So once all of the appropriate names have been populated, the very last step, the one I think that throws people off the most, is hitting this blue save button. Save and close. I don't know if this is a tick. It's a strange page up specialty, but save and close does not start the offer for routing for approval. Only this blue save button will initiate that offer process.
We're not seeing the save button. Oh, there we go. Never mind, it was mine.
Okay. Yes, right at the bottom here. I think this is just something that gets overlooked, and I think this might be one of the main reasons why offers will sit and be not going through approval. So if I were to hit the save button, then Maddie would get a notice to check me for a background check, and then I would get a bunch of emails asking to come in and approve this. So this is the end of the offer card. We still have quite a bit of time, so any questions that you have about the offer card, using the offer card elements of it, please feel free to unmic or to send Adam your questions.
Ashton, is the save and close button to be used if you want to save it and then go back into it?
I think you can, actually. I think it will not route for approval. I do believe it will sit as a tentative draft.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Can you guys change the names of those buttons, or is that just preset by page up?
I don't know that we ever asked.
Because what might be really nice is instead of save and close, you could do save draft and close, and then change the save button to submit button. If it's possible, that would make it a whole lot more explanatory, self-explanatory.
Yeah, we'll take that away. Change the name of the button. Simple and elegant. See, Kristen's got her hand up.
Hi, Ashton. On the block that you're on right now where it says application status, if I clicked yes on that, what does that do? Does that send messages to the other people that were interviewed saying, thank you for applying with Boise State, but you weren't selected, or?
No, so the application status would only deal with the applicant. So you would want to leave this as no, because prior to the offer being approved, it could change the applicant status in their profile to say offer. And, we're still waiting on it being approved. There's still some question marks. So just as a courtesy to the applicant, we would leave that as no, so that they're, we have time to edit and do drafts and make sure that the letter's perfect before they're calling saying it says offer, where's my offer?
So is this something that all of the applicants can see? Like, should we be reaching out to those other people that we've already interviewed but haven't selected to let them know that we have selected someone else? Or is this an automated process through PageUp?
This offer card will not communicate anything to any of the applicants in the pool.
Okay.
So when you are ready to communicate to applicants in the pool, we'll actually call back to Chris, how she did that little tutorial on not selected. So the only time that an applicant would get a message is if you were actively trying to send that message. You know, in this case, the only even if you did click yes, the only thing that would happen is that when they logged into their profile and looked at the job, it would say offer instead of to be interviewed or in review. You know, it would just kind of tip them off maybe before we're ready to communicate that.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. See that there's another hand up?
Dara has a question, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and what you mentioned, Ashton, I had no idea that the status is something that the candidates are able to see. I did not know that.
Hold on.
Like,
what do you mean?
Like you said, if we switch the status to be interviewed, they're able to see that on their profile. Is that correct?
Well, that would be when you're actually sending out interviews. What they see with this non-included is it says application under review for the entirety of their candidacy until we move them into an offered status officially.
Got it. Okay.
So they do not see anything.
That's good to know. For the background check, can you please go over again in that initial email that we sent to them before we launched the offer card that talks about Sterling? So they're not going to get a background check from Sterling until we actually go through and do this offer card and hit save. Is that correct? Okay.
That is.
So that would be another reason why we would want to do this pretty quickly after, because they'll get an email and look at their spam and inbox and see that there's no email from Sterling.
Exactly. And then they will start reaching out to us, and then we're going to be unwinding. But yeah, that is
thank
correct.
you.
You're welcome.
Ashton, since we have a few minutes, can you show us the history tab on an applicant?
I would.
Ashton, if you want to, you could use the one that we just hired, an internal candidate.
What was the name on that one, Stephanie?
Kate Law. She's now our new Assistant Dean of Students.
All right. Kate Law. We'll go ahead and keep her information private. Okay. Well, there's not really anything to do.
If you're just on the history tab, would that be? Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Good job. Yeah. There you go.
So we're on the history tab here, and you can see we've got quite a few things going on. We see Kate completed the IDBSU new hire form. Let's see here.
Is that her saying, yes, I accept the job?
Yeah.
Is that what that means? Okay.
Offer accepted is that back-end status.
Oh.
Let's see. So you can see here under form that Miss Madison has uploaded degree verification completed. Degree verification complete. The background check is complete and clear. So these will be in every applicant profile who has a background. If they already have a background check on file, Maddie will go in and update right away. If they're processing their background check, she will wait until it's complete to add this note. So these are very accurate. And let's just see here. No, she's only applied for one job. All right, we'll kick it back here. So we saw the history screen. Does anybody else have any questions?
Before everybody goes, I'm going to give a little shout out. So facilities has been having so much trouble recruiting for custodians and and HVAC, and we're kind of, we have 10 vacancies in our custodian crew, which is a ton. So the custodians are working really hard, but and we were having really hard time recruiting for our HVAC technicians. Anyway, and so the welcome team had a brainstorming session. There were 5 people from the welcome team and myself did a bunch of brainstorming and came up with some really great ideas on how to recruit, and spent a lot of time helping out, because I had reached out a couple weeks ago and just said, help, I need help. We're not able to hire anybody, and it's been super difficult. And so I just wanted to shout out to say thank you guys. So they gave us lots of ideas and posted things on HR's Twitter and Facebook pages. And so anyway, so shout out and a thank you. And if you guys have trouble recruiting, the welcome team is awesome.
Oh, thank you, Charlotte. That's very kind. All right.
I love the kudos. Thank you, Sharla.
Yeah. Well, we can hand back just a couple minutes if there aren't any other questions right now. I know we are deep in hiring season for faculty.
Ashton, I know at one point in time we all asked, we were asking, can the supervisor be copied on the emails that the new employee is getting? I saw there we could probably go into Page Up and see what has been sent out. But is there any way that we can make it to where the supervisor gets copied so that they're aware of what the employee is being asked to do?
This would be our future topic. We are actually going to be diving into the onboarding portal, and we implemented this now a year ago, and we were so focused on the system, make sure Page Up works, make sure that everything is right, make sure that we get the training out. So onboarding and interview event booking were kind of 2 things that we got going, and they're good, but now we're really taking the time to dig in and actually start the process of socializing hiring managers with it and really showing you all that it can do. So the supervisor, when we do our next meeting, we'll show them how to actually manage tasks on the onboarding portal, see everything that's happening, be double checking what tasks are there. To my knowledge, and if anybody else knows better, please correct me, but I don't believe we can have a duplicate message sent to the supervisor through onboarding.
No, but in the onboarding tasks, they can view, if I'm not mistaken, all the communications that go out and the time frame. It's in the, and we can show this next meeting, but there's a dashboard. And so it shows the manager, the employee, and the supervisor. So maybe we can play with permissions if they can't see it now, but it is available in that onboarding portal. It's just making sure it's accessible and easy to click to find.
True. Yeah, so to be determined, TBD. Actually, our next meeting is early May. So we'll be diving into onboarding, I'm pretty sure. So thank you for all your questions, Stephanie. I do appreciate it. You keep me on my toes. All right. Well, Michelle, I think we're ready for a send-off here. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Be sure and look out for those Zoom invites, and you get back. Oh, 30 seconds.